Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out to the show. Debs, what's up? Thanks for that super chat. Stalker alert. Debs, how have you been? We're going to be getting started very soon, everybody. We're going to be talking about the latest Starship Super Heavy. We're going to be talking about Flight 8 postponement, the latest updates from the FAA. SpaceX is our arch nemesis. We're just going to have some good fun. Talk about Starships, talk about upcoming flight. Because we do have some interesting things that have happened in the last 24 hours. They postponed it. Let me get this all set up here. So if you're not familiar, hi everybody, my name's Will. I am the host of the Space News Pod. We are about 4 years into this show, almost 100,000 subscribers. So if you could take a second, I've been looking at the analytics, and most people that come to the show, they just kind of watch a show, they watch a video or two or three or four or five, and they just forget to subscribe. It's just a thing. Some people do that. That's fine. I do that too. But it's about 50-50. 50% of people watch a video and subscribe. And then the other 50 watch a bunch of videos and then don't subscribe. So if you could just do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, that would be great. And I promise, my promise to you is that I will do everything in my power to bring you Starship content every single day. That's my promise to you. As much as I can, I'm going to bring you Starship content, SpaceX content, spaceflight content. So if you promise me one simple thing, hit the subscribe button. I promise you I'll bring you as much Starship content as I can. Speaking of that devil, there's a lot of Starship stuff going on. There's a lot. Flight 8's coming up in just a few days here. They changed the day, actually, for Starship flight. It was going to be Friday. And I made a video about it and I posted it this morning. I was like, hey, is it going to happen? Yeah, more than likely. No, it's not going to happen on Friday. Also, hit the like. Hey, Philip, how's it going? So it's not going to happen Friday. They did postpone the flight. So now I got egg on my face. I'm like, yeah, of course it's going to happen because that's what Elon said. Listen, we all know. We all know. When Elon says something, it's like, it's almost there, right? But then the FAA posted about it too. They posted on their website that the flight was going to happen on Friday. And then that was changed. And then SpaceX also changed it too. And we're going to talk about that stuff. But I want to show you a few things when we just get started here. We talked about a little bit about this. Shane Diaz yesterday. We talked about this yesterday. Here comes Flight 8. And yeah, we do realize we need to get a booster and ship to the pad to make this happen. And this is one of SpaceX's employees. Shane's an employee of SpaceX. Team's firing on all cylinders to make Friday happen. And as mentioned in this post, we are working closely with the FAA to ensure regulatory compliance. So we don't know what happened behind the scenes, whether it was SpaceX or was it the FAA that's postponing this. But we do know that now the flight is postponed from the original initial launch date of Friday, February 28th, the last day of February, to next Monday. So that's been postponed. So let's take a look at what SpaceX posted too. Super Heavy on the launch pad at Starbase ahead of Starship's 8th flight test. And they're going to do some really interesting things for this flight. And there's one part of this flight that's going to be absolutely crucial to the future of SpaceX and also of basically all of space exploration going forward for SpaceX, because Starship is going to take over where Falcon 9 is going to leave off. Falcon 9 is like, it's still going to have its missions, smaller missions, but Starship is going to be well high above Falcon 9 as far as capability goes. So the fact that they're pushing flight 8 as soon as they did, like a month. And flight 9 is probably going to be around a month too. They're going to get a bunch of flights in this year, 20 some odd flights this year, hopefully. And they'll be able to crank them out. Just wild, wild times down at Starbase, because right now they're actually working on the next flight. This flight hasn't even happened, and everything, all the hardware for the next flight is like getting ready. So the things that they learned from flight 7 are going into flight 8, and then from flight 8 will go into flight 9. It's an iterative process. SpaceX iterates every single time they fly one of these starships. So if you watch this flight, it's not going to be anything like flight 15, because flight 1 is nothing like flight 8. So double this, flight 8 to flight 15, flight 16. It's going to be a wild, like, could you imagine? Hey, pretty, what's up? Could you imagine what's going to happen for flight 20 or flight 30 or flight 100? Oh my God, they're going to be like transferring propellants in orbit from a tanker to a ship. And then they're going to send that ship wherever they want to send it. They could send it to Mars. They could send it to the moon. They could send it to the outer reaches of the solar system. But this is like, we're right here, right now, with the 8th flight. And this is the very beginning of all this. You know, we were there for flight 1. I was there before flight 1. I was there while they're doing 420. And they were like building the systems to build the systems, you know, build the machine to build the machine. And we saw it all unravel in real time. And now we get to see flight 8, which is going to be a really crucial flight for SpaceX, because not only are they going to be building on flight 7 and what they learned from that flight, but also they're going to remember all the past flights, kind of everything they did. And then they're going to build all that into flight 8. And the important thing that happens with flight 8, and I'll show you that in just a minute, but it's a like super important thing that flight 8 is going to be the differentiator, if this works, between SpaceX moving forward with one of the programs and kind of waiting a little bit before they start raking in the big cash from this thing. This is their cash cow coming up. So I want to show you some of the reasoning we have. So SpaceX, so we know that SpaceX will be launching on Monday as opposed to Friday because it's been postponed. Hey, what's up? Rob Brink. Primary day, February 28th. It says closure revoked right under here. You can't really see it behind me. Alternative day, March 1st, closure revoked. March 3rd, closure revoked, primary day. March 4th, possible closure. Or closure scheduled, sorry. Closure scheduled on the 3rd, and then the 4th is possible closure. So on Monday, the 3rd, they're going to close these roads, Highway 4. And you know what that means? That means they're going for a launch on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. And we'll see from 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., Highway 4 is going to be closed. So they do plan on launching this. And it was going to be Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, like, because they kind of canceled it on Friday, or it's because they did cancel on a Friday, they can't really launch on a Saturday or Sunday as much without written consent. So they're going to wait a couple days. And it was just like you know, it could be a technical thing that SpaceX is going through. It could be like a FAA thing too. So just be forewarned that the FAA is not their enemy. The FAA is SpaceX's friend, and they're working together to get this flight out there. So they are doing primary day on Monday, and they will be possible alternative days Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Now we have to look back, or we have to look forward to Starship's 8th test flight. And let me get this actually squared up so you can actually see this thing, right? Because I don't need to be in there as much as I am, but let's do this. There we go. Starship's 8th flight test. And I want to show you what I was talking about earlier with the most important thing that's happening with SpaceX right now. So they basically say here on their website, we've learned everything that we can from Flight 7. We know what happened with Flight 7 with the ship blowing up. Everything happened, previous flight, cetera, et cetera. 25% increase in propellant volume during the flight test. Starship will deploy. This is the important part. 4 Starlink simulators. That's the important part. Let me move myself over here and make myself a little bit smaller so you can see. There we go. And you can see my water bottle now too. Starship will deploy 4 Starlink simulators, similar in size to a next-gen Starlink satellites. And this is going to be their first mission that they actually deploy Starlink satellites from a Starship. The test Starlinks, I should say. So they're going to be stress testing the ship, stress testing the Starlink Pez dispenser during this, and making sure that everything works. Because I'm assuming that if this works properly, they're going to do a similar test for Flight 9. And since they're going to be doing 4 of these for this mission, Flight 9 might have more than 4. Might even have a full 20 or so. You just spit them out of that dispenser. I mean, if this works perfectly, because we know, like, what is it, Flight 3? I think it was. They tried the door, and it just didn't work. It didn't work well at all. So they moved on from that, and now Flight 8 is here, and they are moving towards the Starlink simulators popping out of this thing. It's going to be a wild thing to think. So think about, it's going to be about, let me see where it is in the mission countdown, and then flight test timeline. Hostage jettison, landing burn. So it's going to be right about here. 17 minutes and 24 seconds. Hey, Bob Brink, welcome back to the Cosmos crew. Payload deploy demo at 17 minutes and 24 seconds. So that's what we're going to look for the next flight. Now, current operations for Starship with the FAA. Planned launch reentry, Flight 8, 3/3/2025 to backup date 3/04/2025. They don't have a 3/05/2025 like they do for the road closures, but they do have the 3rd and the 4th. So FAA, SpaceX on board Monday on the 3rd. It's going to be an all-day event, 10:30 a.m. until super late at night, 11:30 p.m. So be careful out there if you're going down. 7th flight test. This is the thing that they were talking about before with Flight 8. But this is basically like the coolest video they can make. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit until this, because look at that. That's so sick. I'm not going to lie. Like, look at how cool that is with 2 towers too. So I want to pause it there. And it's like it with the 2 towers, right? Right there. Okay. So with the booster, my dog's barking really crazy in the backyard. So the booster's coming in hot, caught on the catch tower. And when ship comes back, if the tower is in a good spot, next flight, then like Tower 2 is in a good spot for next flight, Flight 9. Do you think they'll be able to catch the ship? Because they're going to be working on the ship re-entry and also ship navigation for a catch for this next flight, for Flight 8. In like Flight 9, if the tower's ready, do you think they'll try to catch it at Boca Chica? Or do you think they're going to wait till Flight 10 so they can nail a couple of these things, you know, a couple of like perfect, absolutely perfect ship landings in the water before they land at Boca Chica? My dog is going wild, by the way. I wish I had a camera outside. He's going wild. His name's Milo, because the garbage truck is out there. And Milo just goes nuts, dude. It's so crazy. So that's the kind of stuff that you won't really hear on other podcasts and other shows out there. He's going nuts, dude. It's crazy. Anyway, I didn't mean to get distracted, but I just didn't want him to get loose. We have a big wall, so I don't think he would get loose. So Ship 7, Flight 7, new year, new ship, new lessons. They talk about everything that happened at Flight 7. And then Flight 8 is coming up. We already went over that. So let's take a look at the flight path. It goes a little bit further. So following the RUD and large debris area from Flight 7, the Marine Hazard Zone, NOTMAR, has been extended all the way to Turks and Caicos for Flight 8. I've mapped the changes from Ryan. So all the way from Boca Chica Starbase, Texas, all the way out, you can see it stops out here, and then it goes all the way to Turks and Caicos, way out there off the coast. So the flight path has been extended. The marine hazard zone has been extended because they don't really like, they're still testing these things out too. You know, it's not a simple solution where they just fly this thing and then like, oh, cool, it works. They're still testing everything. So they're extending the flight path or the flight 8 not Mars zone, the hazard zone. And then we have over here Gav Cornwell, fast cruise ship Hannah Ray, which supported the previous 2 Starship flights out in the Gulf of Starbase, is heading to Port Isabel, because we don't know what to call it right now, right? Is it the Gulf of Mexico? Is it the Gulf of America? Who cares, man? Just leave it. It's the Gulf of Starbase now, according to Gav. So is heading to Port Isabel in preparation for Flight 8. So they're getting everything ready. The ship's ready, and all of the crew, everybody on the ground teams, everybody in the ocean teams, they're ready to go. The nautical teams are ready to go. And now we have, let's see, this is for the SpaceX Starship Flight 8 launch license. It's been updated. It's been updated since the last flight. And here are a few of like the highlights of it. I'm going to pop this in real quick. License granted subject to terms, conditions, limitations, forth, blah, blah, blah. So this is basically the license. And then it's been signed off by Katie Craner, Manager Safety Authorization Division for SpaceX. This is for Starship. And then this is the important thing here. Beginning at the start of the autonomous flight, in paragraph replaced at Boca Chica, Texas, beginning in the start of the flight termination system ordinance installation for the Starship upper stage vehicle or super heavy booster vehicle, whichever occurs first, to from SpaceX Boca Chica Launch Complex at Boca Chica, Texas. They don't call it Starbase. They call it Boca Chica still, beginning at the start completion of the launch go, no go poll prior. And these are just some amendments that they've done to it. Add a paragraph, orbital and flight ends after deployment of all payloads upon completion of the SpaceX Corp Starship Super Heavy's first steady state orbit if there is no payload deployment after vehicle component impact or landing on Earth, after activities necessary to return the vehicle or component to a safety condition on the ground, after impact or landing, or after activities necessary to return to the site to a safe condition, whatever occurs latest. So basically they're saying this flight license is to return these things back to the flight area from the launch area. It wasn't like that before. These are new, added a paragraph. So now instead of like, this thing's going to fly, now they've amended it to this thing's going to fly and also come back. And this might, it's not going to be for Flight 8 for the ship, but future flights. That's what this is for. So they're not doing it for Flight 8. So they're not bringing the ship back for Flight 8. They'll be landing that in the ocean, but the future flights, Flight 9, possibly 10, 11, whatever. This license is a forward-looking license. Hey, Preeti, thanks for rejoining a member too, shouting that out. I don't know why this stuff isn't popping up, by the way. The alert widgets. There we go. That should go up now for you guys that have been doing cool stuff. And here's a new thing. This is from Vicky Cox 15 on X. This looks like very good news to me. The ship lifting jig has been raised up, moved over to the left side of MB2, Mega Bay 2, which is exactly the side where Ship 34 has been sitting, and the tagline's released, suggesting it's in the correct position over the ship. Ship's going out, baby. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Ship is going out. That's the plan. That's the plan, right? Just get that ship out there as soon as you can so you can stack it on top of the booster. Do all the checks, the pre-flight checks. Do a stack check. Do a fit test. Do that over the weekend, and make sure you have a few days. Because, if they're going to launch it tomorrow, they would have to do a lot of work. get that ship out there, you know, transport it out, do a fit check, do all the plumbing checks today, and launch it tomorrow. That would be an incredible amount of work that they would have to do in 24 hours. But I mean, they've done it before. They can do it again. But it's nice to have a few days, you know, it's really nice to have a few days in between. So I think that's what SpaceX is working on right now. They have a few days due to whether it's FAA constraints or their own constraints. They're just like, we just don't have enough time. Either or, you know, one of those things happen. We're not exactly sure what it is. Cybo Man says, "Can we skip right to Flight 9?" I wish we could do Flight 8 really quick. Like it's over. I mean, Monday is going to be here in a few days, and right from Monday, they're working on Flight 9 hardware right now. So Flight 9 hardware will be ready within probably, you know, the next few weeks, like 100% ready to go, and they might as well just stack it up again, right? Because they want to do. Eventually they want to get to 100 flights a year. Eventually, that would be insane. That would be incredible and wild. But oh, Bob Brink also says, I do the same thing. Go nuts when the garbage truck comes by. My kid goes nuts too. He loves it. He thinks it's really cool. So are you saying you have the garbage truck mentality of a 4-year-old, Bob? Because I totally do. I get excited too. My dog gets more excited, but I'm more excited to see the ship stacking on the booster than I am seeing the garbage truck. Just so you guys know, the booster and the ship are way more important. Well, I guess important to me. I want my garbage gone, so I guess that's more important to me in real life. But having a ship and a booster stacked is pretty cool too. So if you're watching right now, just please give this video a like, and also subscribe to the channel. Just hit the sub button if you want to hang out for more of these live streams, because we're going to be doing more of these before the flight, and also I'm going to be releasing videos before the flight and also after the flight too, and more as we go. Continue to build this up. So subscribe, like, all that stuff. You know, it's YouTube. Plus, I promise you that I will continue making Starship and spaceflight content for everybody to subscribe to the show. That's all I ask. Just, it's free, takes a second, helps me out, helps you out too, because you're going to get other creators in your feed that are interested in SpaceX and Starship. So you're going to get other creators that you might like, maybe even more than me, which is cool. That's fine. That's cool with me. I want you to be happy. And then that'll start feeding you more SpaceX and Starship content too. So thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. What do we got going on in the chat too? If this booster is getting caught successfully, is it going to fly on Flight 10? I haven't heard anything about reusing boosters yet. I don't know if they're in a good enough spot with the boosters as far as dependability goes to relight one of these bad boys, to refly it, because even though the structural integrity of these boosters seems okay to the naked eye after these flights, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. I could probably talk to a few people and see if I can come up with some answers for you, but as far as I know, I don't know if they have plans to reuse a booster quite yet. I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't or wouldn't. It's just a test, but also I would assume they would want to get all the systems pretty perfect before they refly a booster. Because if they can make a better booster every time, I would assume that they would make it like the best booster that they can. You know, right now, ship and booster for Flight 8 are the best that they've ever built. And then Flight 10, that'll be the best that they ever built. And then, or that they've built. And Flight 15, 16. And until it's like a mature platform for them to fly, because it's not mature, I don't think it's mature enough yet. I wish it were. I wish they could just relight these puppies, but it's not a mature enough platform for them to relight it yet, as far as I'm concerned. So I would assume it's going to be a few more flights down the line. I'm not exactly sure how many, but Flight in these boosters are, resilient, but I don't know how reliable they would be to fly again. So boosters go boom, no reusability, says Debs. Yeah, yeah, some boosters, they just don't make it. Same with ships, they just don't make it, and that's how this works. That's how SpaceX works. So, unfortunately, we might not see a relight, a refly of a booster anytime soon. So, yeah, if you have any other questions, I'm gonna call it in a couple seconds here. So, if you have any more questions, let me know. And also, one more ask of you. Just hit the subscribe button and the follow button. I appreciate it. And any super chats help out to allow me to continue to do the show. Super chats, memberships, stuff like that really help out to help me continue doing the show every single day, because got to pay the bills, man. Got to pay rent. That's pretty much it. Deb says, dear SpaceX, do not light puppies. I agree with you. SpaceX and birds or frogs. We've seen frogs, and that's a horrible thing. It is. I think it's amazing when they land a booster at land or sea. I agree, Steve. Either one's cool. On land or at sea is really cool. I just think it's cool that we can have like a 250-foot tall rocket ship that's 30 feet around, 9 meters or whatever it is. To fly up, and let alone come back down pretty controlled. And when they land on the chopsticks, it's going to become second. It's going to be like even though it's really cool still for a Falcon to land, and it's just like, dude, those things are incredible. So Falcons landing, it's still like the dual Falcons for the Super Heavy. Oh my, or not Super, for the Falcon Heavy. It's so cool. It's so cool. So once we get the booster landing, and then after the ship does its orbits and that lands on Tower 2, I'm going to go wild. That's all I can say. I'm going to go absolutely wild, dude. So now that being said, I got to take off, but thank you everybody who's liked and subscribed to this. We have 32 likes. Can we get up to 35? We just need three more people to like this video. And then if we get to 35, that'll be awesome. So thanks everybody for liking the video. Thanks Debs for the super chat. Thanks Bob Brank for becoming a Cosmos crew again. We had a little thing with YouTube, and they turned off my monetization for, I didn't even notice it. And then I had to reach out to them on Twitter to get it back on. And then it was all good. So that's why that's why your memberships didn't continue to work, but it's all solved. It was super easy. So figured it out. And now thanks again, Preeti and Bob Brink, for re-signing up for memberships. And thanks Debs again for the super chat. And thanks Debs. Yeah, stay safe out there. Like Deb says, take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you in the next one. Boop. Bye-bye.